Finishing an arm wrestling match like Devon requires a combination of strategic positioning, wrist control, and efficient force application. Devon's approach emphasizes overcupping the wrist to force opponents into a disadvantaged position, limiting their ability to engage elbow flexion. He avoids overpronating, ensuring that his forearm remains in a strong functional state while maintaining enough pronation to neutralize his opponent's grip. By controlling height and using active supination, he prevents his opponents from regaining leverage, forcing them to give in. This discussion breaks down the key elements of Devon's finishing strategy, highlighting the balance between technique, tendon conditioning, and structural durability. If you can cup your opponent effectively, they won't be able to fully utilize their elbow flexion due to forced supination. If you can pronate them out of position, they will lose their wrist, making them an easier target. Maintaining healthy rotator cuffs is also important, as finishing often requires side pressure. However, overtraining the rotator cuffs is easy, so using heavy weights should be approached with caution, especially for beginners and intermediates. The difficulty of finishing with a top roll is not due to a lack of side pressure, but rather the inability to engage it from that position. If performing a maximum side pressure lift, most people wouldn't choose the position they end up in at the end of a successful top roll. The most effective top roll finishers rely on speed and explosiveness, preventing opponents from applying defensive pressure. Some top rollers fail because they lack back pressure with a committed shoulder. They sacrifice side pressure to maximize back pressure, but if it doesn't work, there is no way to recover. A common mistake is overpronating the forearm. When fully pronated, the bicep and brachioradialis disengage, leaving only the brachialis to contribute to elbow flexion. In an arm wrestling context, this weakens overall arm power, making it easier for an opponent to stop the attack. Instead of pronating too deep into the opponent's fingers, it is more effective to use just enough pronation to prevent their cup and finger containment, while keeping the forearm in a neutral position with a deep cup. In his match against Gennady, Devon overcupped his wrist, forcing Gennady into an over-supinated position. As a result, Gennady's elbow flexors were ineffective, preventing him from gaining any purchase on Devon's hand. I've created a new 3D model to analyze arm wrestling positions in detail. My goal is to use these models to develop animations that contribute to the sport's understanding and technology. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more. In the second round, Devon avoided overpronating, as excessive pronation disengages most elbow flexion muscles. Instead, he used neutral pronation combined with overcupping until Gennady was forced to give in. At the same time, Devon prevented Gennady from flopping his wrist through active supination and by keeping him below the wrist line. When it comes to the press when finishing, the press should be a transition, not a starting position, and the rules should reflect this. The effectiveness of any move depends on the user's strength, tendon conditioning, bone density, and overall structural durability. If the flop press is the primary strategy, all weaknesses must be addressed through training. The negative aspect of any move is not the technique itself, but the user's physical limitations. If muscles are not strong enough, tendons are not thick enough, bones are not dense enough, or the frame is not durable, the technique will fail. Developing the necessary strength and endurance ensures that finishing moves are executed with control rather than relying solely on momentum.